Ah, yes. This first man has been variously called deliciously deviant, a modern-day mix of intellectuality and frivolity, refreshingly surreal, and slightly unsettling. And that was just on his claim form for council tax benefit. So when you see his flyers, and he's taking all that wonderfulness to Edinburgh in his special show, which you can also read about on the rants table. His special show is called The Name of the Flesh. I'm not going to waffle anymore. It is Mr. Ernesto Sarezale.
Hey. The title of the poem is Invisible. I live in a street where domestic cats fly without wings. They float curling up in the air as they purr with Cheshire's satisfaction. Yet queer things happen in my neighborhood. Motorbikes and bikes have been seen speeding up along my street without riders on their seats. Though sometimes it looks like they are driven by cats. And who's moving around the beds and the chairs and the sofas and the low coffee tables from number 10 to number 12, back to 10 and then up again to number 27? Can furniture choose the houses where they live? And how about the footballs bouncing up and down on their own at many of my street's front gardens? What boisterous genies are pushing the sticks on the billiard tables at my local pub? Some people have heard mysterious shrieks, angry female voices when Arsenal loses, or even discordant horse singing that sounds like Pink, K.D. Lang, or Wuthering Heights. All ladies are scared, and the press is bemused, but what finally caused the concern of the local powers that be was the lewd parade of itinerant dildos, tampons, and thumbs. Let's just say that it's obvious for those in the know that those paranormal phenomena are not but the deeds of invisible dykes. Invisible lesbians are rife in my area, but no one can see where they kiss in the street or hold hands or they're playing football and pool. So next time you see what appears to be a motorized cat down the road, don't be fooled, it is an invisible dyke on a bike, driving her head to the bed, flashing her bra. Invisible lesbians sunbathe in the nude at the women's ponds and at public parks, for only invisible lesbians can see invisible lesbians, their boobs and the mullets they get at invisible lesbian hairdressers. Yes, some of these girls can be hedonistic and perform their inscrutable sexual acts in the light of day with the shutters wide open. They dive in the mud, they play with their toys, and they sing their fangs on the necks of beautiful young maids. If only the local working men knew. I know of some neighbors who have heard the rows of invisible lipstick lesbians who move from house to house, from one ex to the next, while carrying all their IKEA with them. Ditto about the discordant voices coming from invisible lesbian karaoke nights. And if you think you see sweet abandoned kids crossing the street on their own at their peril, rest assured they hold in the hands of their caring, adoptive, invisible lesbian moms. Yes, queer things do happen in my street. You'll know an invisible lesbian is at play when suddenly tofu just fades from your plate, or a girl's bum is pinched and no one's around, or a cigarette is blown off your mouth by the wind. And you, pretty girl, if you happen to spot an invisible lesbian amid a big crowd, look into yourself. You should start to wonder the time may have come to dump your boyfriend. Thank you. The second poem is called The Aftermath. He left something behind the morning after. I found it almost by chance. It was hidden in the plies of soiled linen. It dropped from the sheets as I shook them, as though the hole from a cigarette burn had gone loose and was aired with the hairs and the smells. But we had not smoked the night before. Wrinkly, stretchy, bold, ridiculous. Much bigger than I remembered it, what now lay on the floor was his belly button. That little piece of meat that I licked with the tip of my tongue so many times. So glad I did not step on it. I picked it up, wiped the fluff and held it with extraneous pleasure. I stretched it to sheathe my right thumb. It fitted like a thimble of flesh. I covered it up with a pink rubber glove and then proceeded to do the washing. It was midday by then, scraps of breakfast cluttering the sink, Sunday afternoon and focused mind. I imagined him sinking in the tub, contemplating his new orifice, wondering whether he should call back. I heard his voice a few days later on the answer machine. "Do you remember me?" he said. "I think I left something behind the morning after. Have you spotted my leather cock ring with stainless steel studs by any chance?" I phoned him back, explained I had not seen the item, but invited him to come round to my place to have a look. I tidied up the flat. I left his belly button on my bedside table. I was eager to see him again. When he arrived, he rushed into the toilet. "I have to wee," he said, but the noises and moans that I heard then suggested that he was busy with other affairs. Was he looking for his navel in there? Why was he running water in the tub? He came out all agitated and flustered, apologetic, a stupid grin on his face. I couldn't wait. I led him straight to my bedroom. I displayed for him my collection of sex toys. He didn't pay attention, of course, his eyes were stuck to my bedside table. "Is that a belly button?" he cried. I pretended I did not understand. I forced from him explanations, ashamed confessions, in the excuse of having shirtless again, really. Embarrassed, like a teenager ashamed of her period, he showed me the blood-soaked tampon he had inserted in his belly hole and argued the stretchy bit belonged in there. "Are you sure, Cinderella?" I thought. "Let's give it a try. Does it fit?" It drove him almost to tears. The navel, stretched beyond recognition and moist, rejected his skin. It belonged to me now. He left, like he left the first time, his navel behind, avoiding my eyes with a gloomy goodbye. I didn't know whether I'd see him again, but I was left with his belly button, which fits my thumb like a thimble of flesh. That's mine now. Thank you. I don't know if you're aware of this, but about 10 years ago in London, at the ICA, there was the festival, International Festival of Naked Poetry. It was poets performing poetry in the nude. It was quite interesting because actually it took place on my birthday, but I wasn't living in London at the time. It would have been quite interesting to take part in that festival while wearing my birthday suit, quite literally. But my favorite naked poetry anecdote is that with Allen Ginsberg. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I guess many of you have. Is this big poet from the 60s, hippie in America, one second, who was giving a reading in San Francisco, in some publishing company or something like that. And in the middle of the reading, a heckler started shouting at him. He got very annoyed, and his way of reacting to the heckler was to take all his clothes off and shouted back, "The poet always stands naked before the world." And with this thought, I will continue with the next two pieces. This first poem, in spite of what some people may be thinking now, is not about my penis. The title of the poem is Average. He was standing in the middle of the queue, making his way to the cubicle ahead. I was facing the urinals, wiping the last drops of pee. I was shaking it. He stopped, stared, made a reverence and uttered to my penis, "Hello, stranger, how you doing?" It was an American accent, joyful. My penis shrank for a second, then plucked up courage, shook its head, and waved at him in friendly manner. "Hello," I replied in a proper English accent, and the sort of squeaky, puppety voice I imagined a penis might have. He laughed, covered his eyes with his hand as though in shock, but pursued the multicultural exchange. The stranger and my cock talked about the weather. When he looked at my face at last, he gave me praise. "You got the prettiest cock. Average, yes, but nice. Not exactly an average gay penis," he added, "because as everyone knows, gay penises are larger than the cocks of real men, nor as average as the average Scottish penis, which is larger than the average penises in Scotland, as many Scotsmen will claim, nor as tiny as the average Indian penis that standard condoms can fit, nor as average as my feet, or my hands, or my nose, or no. More like the average white man's penis. 5 inches in California, more than 14 in Brazil, 14 centimeters that is. Who knows that, I butted in, who has measured all those cocks? He smiled. They say that the length of your cock goes from the tip of your thumb to the tip of your index when you form with them a 90 degrees angle. Well, that's only when it's erect, he clarified. He persisted. You've got the prettiest cock. Average, yes, but lovely. Hang on, I was annoyed. There's nothing average about my cock, I thought. My cock's not average, I said. My penis is an old dancing, old singing, old talking penis. You're a ventriloquist, he joked. I ignored his remark and continued. My penis never gets tired. It gets hard at a slight provocation by the silliest thought. It yields more than 500 million spurs per shot, and it shoots more than 2 or 3 times a day. My cock's not even anonymous. Sometimes it's Woody, sometimes John Thomas, Willie, Dick, or Mr. Winky. It's got a mind of its own. There's nothing average about my cock. And you know it look bigger if I shave my pubes. Please don't, he shouted in horror. Then he winked. I'm no size queen. You got the prettiest cock, and you know I dearly love to play with it. My penis winked back at him. The prettiest cock? You, yes, you got the prettiest cock. Thank you. We want to be disturbed. We want to be outraged, startled, stunned and shaken. We want to stare in shock. Turn up the Carmina Burana, welcome the MC, the crazy host. Applaud the dazzling visuals, the innovative light effects and the crippled go-go dancers. Past the doors where big pale bouncers carry the slick talkies hanging from the rings in their pierced nipples, we sit gently, civilized, waiting for the show to start. Old topless wives with battered breasts serve champagne by the tables. Pre-op transsexuals on the stage, fully nude, their faces covered by grotesque black leather masks, do convoluted dancers rubbing each other's boobs. A playful midget now sucks its own orthopedic cock. Exotic dancers on stilts take off the clothes and the limbs on the laps of all the patrons. 10 pounds for a registering, 25 pounds for a leg. Shall we join the daring punters who outperform the performers, like that woman clad in rubber who drags pulling his firm cock a Nudian man to the loop, or those who present their scrota to test strange tools made of steel, or that who to achieve orgasm endures female circumcision? This is a conscientious place, welcoming, disabled-friendly, with easy access to the back room where happy punters push their wheelchairs through a parade of swollen cocks and inviting juicy clits. X-rays of paintings, painted X-rays are projected on the walls, slideshows of fractured bones, deformed bladders, rotten flowers, and lugubrious carcinomas. A witch is taking the stage, female prestidigitator. She claims a man from the audience. She makes him and us believe that she can't dissociate his male organ from his body. But we all know that she's cheating. The organ is shown on video, and the body is on the stage. The flying broomsticks are taken from a Swedish silent film. But where is his real penis? Nobody can see it now. The lights are off, the drums are roaring, the flying dicks are replaced by compulsively repeated sequences, worldly and divine. Now we can see dying vampires, vomiting nuns, slimming virgins, and barebacking. And those beautiful angels, rewind them, play them backwards, make them all fall and become petty demons, shrieking souls. Accomplished mystery play, circus of horrors, grand guignol, or rather turn of the century, urban art, transgressive, avant-garde. We want to hear the yells, the scandalized reaction of fundamentalists. We want to be disturbed, we want to be perturbed, disgusted, nauseated. We want to stare in shock. Thank you. Thanks for your attention.